I am Shante Jovan Taylor, and you are having coffee with the neuroscientist.
Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. I help people to bust through their mental blocks and whatever keeping them from their greatness so that they can reach their full potential in their personal, professional, and business lives. I truly believe that the mind and the brain are the keys to reaching a higher level of ourselves and operating at the highest levels of our humanity. All right, what a mission I have, right? I have a job on my hands. But the brain, it's the control center of everything we do and everything we don't do. It is. It's true. It's true. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your drink of choice, and hang out with me for a few minutes. I will be discussing today how to practice shifting your mindset permanently. This was a request from a person who seen one of my posts. It was a video of a train, and if you shifted the way you seen the train, it would instantly shift directions. And I use that as an analogy of how you can shift your thinking in such a way to reach your goals and to reach your success. So just like you can shift your vision on making that train go in the opposite direction, you can go in the opposite direction of your life if it's not satisfying you. But it takes shifts in your perception and shifts in believing that you can do it. Okay, so there's quite a few elements. So that's what I'm responding to today. All right. So there's going to be a few parts to this. That's why you got to hang out with me. Grab your drink, people. Take a coffee break or a tea break. All right. In order to practice shifting your mind, because some people didn't get that train shift right away. They have to practice shifting their vision, their visual cortex. It's all connected. I'm telling you, the brain is the center. Then they can shift the direction of that train. All right. So when you are practicing changing your thinking, also called mindset shifts, you have to be intentional about it. It's not going to happen through osmosis. You have to have conscious thoughts and plans and intentions behind wanting to shift your thoughts. And guess what? It's going to take mental energy. It takes mental energy to start a new habit of thinking and to change intentionally. And I'm going to tell you, the brain does not like using energy if it doesn't have to. Hence why most of our behaviors are subconsciously driven and that we develop habits, because habits don't require a lot of mental energy. Your brain is the most precious organ in your body. Okay, so it wants to use its energy wisely. So when you talk about shifting a thought, shifting a pattern, shifting a behavior, it's challenging to change or create a new way of thinking because it does take a lot of energy. So that's number one. That's neuroscience 101. Your brain uses up a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of energy to create the new mental habit of change. So if you're not willing to challenge yourself and to use that energy to make the change, well, you're going to stay the same. So you have to make an investment in your mental energy. You got to tap into it. All right. And it's not going to always feel good. Just like working out. It doesn't feel good. You're taking, you're using energy. So that's the first step to practicing how to shift your mental, how to make mindset shifts. All right. You also have to drown out the noise in your life. What does that mean? In order to start shifting your thinking and making it a habit, a mental habit, you got to be able to listen to what you're supposed to be thinking about. But if you're stressed out, if you're doing the things that don't matter, If you're always distracted, if you always have your technology on and you're never in tune with yourself, if you never quiet your mind, when those thoughts surface, they'll be drowned out by all the noise, all the stress, all the distractions. So even if your subconscious mind comes to your conscious mind and you say, okay, I want to, this is the thought I want, and this is the mental shift, mindset shift that I want and I need to focus on, it'll be drowned out if you're not in tune with yourself. It'll go right back into the recesses of your subconscious mind. So you have to, number one, know that it's going to take conscious mental energy, be intentional about wanting to make the mindset shifts. And when those mindset shifts in the form of thoughts or beliefs come up, you have to be aware of them. And that's when you have to deal with them. Okay. If not, if you get distracted, they're going to go get buried down in the recesses of your mind again. So you have to learn to listen to yourself. And to do that, you got to be at one with yourself. Turn off stuff. All right. So when these nudges come up, when these thoughts come up and they surface to your conscious mind, because it's hard to deal with things that are under your conscious mind, right? That's, mindset shifts require you to deal with it intentionally and consciously, thus taking up mental energy. You see how it's all connecting? Okay. When they come up, now you got to deal with them, and you have to challenge them, or you have to fuel them, or you have to reframe them so that the mindset shift can take place. Okay. So let's say one of the things that comes up is that you always think you're gonna fail. You always think you're a failure. And that's why you don't get anything done. That's why you don't go after that new business. That's why you don't go apply for that new position, because when the thought surfaces that you want to do those things, you have a follow-up thought, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to be able to succeed. Instead of pushing it back down into the recesses of your mind and giving up, to make the mindset shift to success, you have to deal with that thought. Why are you thinking on that level? See, that's the higher self-awareness questions. What brought you around to that thought? What were you thinking about? Who were you talking to? What experience in your life led to you feeling like you will fail at everything you go after? Did somebody tell you that? Did you fail that one time when you didn't get the position and now you're applying it to all positions? That one time you wanted to start that company and somebody said, most businesses, 80% of businesses fail in the first year. So now you're not going to go for it at all, even though it keeps surfacing, because that's your higher self people telling you that you probably should be doing something else. So when the thought finally surfaced to the conscious mind, you have to deal with it, challenge it, reframe it, or fuel it. If your thought is, hey, why don't you talk to that person about starting that business? Go fuel it by taking action to do it. And then from that opportunity becomes more opportunities. Does that make sense so far? You're having coffee with the neuroscientist. And I'm talking about how to practice making mindset shifts permanently. It is a practice. When you practice something, it's intentional. It takes mental energy. All right, so let's get into ways you can practice. Now that we've, released them from the subconscious mind, we know it's going to take mental energy and effort. We know we have to do something with those thoughts once they surface. And we know that when we hear the thoughts, in order to hear the thoughts and deal with them, we have to be centered. We have to listen. We can't be all distracted and stressed out. All right. Now I'm going to tell you some ways to practice the mindset shifts, because remember in the beginning of this live stream, I was saying that there was a video of a train going one way, but if you change your visual perception, which is linked to your visual cortex in your brain, you can instantly shift the direction of that train. by just making a mindset shift, but you have to do it intentionally. That's what you have to do with your life. Shift your mindset intentionally, and that takes effort. All right. So how do you practice like you're exercising, like you're training for the Olympics? Okay. Because we want to have an Olympic mindset. Okay. We're capable of that. All right. In order to practice your mindset shifts, you need to visualize what you want. Okay. I know that sounds woo-woo. Okay. But we know in neuroscience that when you visualize something that you want to do, like maybe you want to speak on stage, and that's like what the number 2 fear of everybody is speaking on stage. When you visualize yourself speaking on stage and you visualize the audience being responsive to you and that they're listening to you intently and they're gaining value from you, your brain will physiologically change as if you are experiencing speaking on the stage. So your visual cortex will be activated, but also your motor cortex will be activated. Your verbal cortex will be activated because it's all linked. So your brain really doesn't know the difference. There's not much difference between visualizing it and doing it. So you can start the process of overcoming your fears and the process of even creating the experience through visualization. Your brain will make the mental maps, people. We have seen this. I get excited. I really do. We have seen this in neuroscience studies. Visualization works. All right. Another way to practice, number 2. I had to write them down because Einstein said, don't remember stuff you can just look up. I mean, I'm sure that's not everything, but I do a lot of live streams, so. All right, write down the thought. Why? Because you're activating your nervous system. Okay, so when you write it down, you are sealing in those mental maps and connecting it to your whole nervous system. Okay, because that is a mechanism. Your nervous system. Your motor cortex is sending down signals through your nervous system to write something down. And when you write something down, the signals go back to your motor cortex and interprets what you wrote. And it also incites creativity when you write stuff down. Have you ever been in a lecture or a seminar and you're taking notes and you're like, oh, I know what I could do with that information. I know how that's connected. Oh, I just got this idea. Happens all the time. Notes are powerful. Notes are powerful. Taking notes. All right. So write it down to help seal in that mindset or that thought, that pattern you want to start thinking on. And it will not only seal it in and activate the nervous system, but it will connect you to other thoughts that will fuel that pattern of thinking. Okay? And that's what we want. We want it to fuel more neural pathways of successful thinking. All right? All right. What's another thing you could do? Last thing. Immerse your mind in what you want. So if you want to think one way, if you want to think as an entrepreneur, guess what? You probably need to be around a bunch of entrepreneurs. And that doesn't mean cut off all your relationships with people who are not entrepreneurs, but in order to have a mindset shift to be an entrepreneur, you need to shift your focus on everything entrepreneur. Shift how you use your time. Shift where you network. Shift who you are speaking with on a daily basis. Shift what kind of reading you do. If you're used to reading fiction, it's probably time to read some nonfiction on some business books, entrepreneurial books, biographies, autobiographies about entrepreneurs. It's probably time to start watching if you like watching TV, TV's cool. If you use it the right way. There's all kind of documentaries and movies that are entrepreneurial focused, and you can get insight from that. All right. So think about learning a new language. What's the best way to, this? You all been around for decades. I've been around for decades. We know stuff, but now I'm just giving you the legs, the science, the neuroscience behind it to say, hey, you're moving in the right direction. Keep doing that. So what's the best way to learn a new language? Go to the country. Why? Not just because all you hear is that particular language. Not just that it is part of it. And then you're forced, to learn the vocabulary. It's because you are experiencing the language on a deeper level that connects the whole brain. What do I mean about that? You are exciting all of your 5 senses. You're hearing it. You're tasting the food. Okay, so you're hearing the language. You're hearing the music in the right context. You are tasting the food. You're smelling the air and the different spices that connect your experience to that culture. What's the other? Sight. You're seeing how it all fits together. You're making the visual links and over 60% of your brain is connected to your visual input. So your vision is connecting all the sense of culture and, museums and people and, facial features. All of that is getting connected through your 5 senses, integrating the brain better, which is the best way to learn anything. So immerse your brain in what you want if you want to successfully shift your mindset. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful and it's doable. Immerse your mind in the direction you want to go, and your brain will create the mental maps for that new mindset. And then it will become what? A habit. So you need to intentionally, consciously, and use mental energy to change the direction of your mindset so that it can eventually become a habit and an automatic way of thinking and being. Sound good? I love this stuff. I don't just love neuroscience. I love teaching it to you. I love sharing it on a level that is applicable to your success in your personal and your professional lives. Because everyone deserves how to use the greatest technology on this planet, and I believe beyond, better, which is the human brain, which is connected to the higher mind. And that's just, it's what is going to help us evolve our humanity, which is in dire need of help. Okay. So my mission as a neuroscientist and mindset success catalyst is to empower 100 million people to use their minds and brains better to reach their highest level of success. Sound good?
Did you like this episode? Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and share with a friend. And if you consider yourself a modern thinker, and if you want free mindset success tools and more tips and strategies on how to use neuroscience in your everyday life and how to stay motivated and inspired to live your best self, come visit me at ShantaeTaylor.com, enter your name and email address, and sign up for my newsletter. Remember, when you better your mind, you better your brain, you better your impact.